It's Rob Vanovermeire with your monthly Calgary real estate market report. Hopefully, I'm going to answer all the questions you have on what's going on in the market because everyone's asking me, and it's been very interesting because the market has been better, and everyone's trying to answer the question as to why. Some people have feel because of the change in government we had has made a difference. I personally think that has made a difference. And then, of course, we just had a big announcement with the pipeline, the Trans Mountain Pipeline now being approved, and maybe that is going to help stimulate the market. However, this also is the spring, and it's that time of year where a lot of people like to move when the weather's warm. And so the blip in this market right now, the uptick, might be more just in terms of the timing of the year, more so than the actual economic driven portion of the real estate market. So just to point out here, if you look at the detached homes, you can see that our absorption rate is on the rise. And by definition of this graph, we're coming close to a balanced market. Can you believe that? For the detached homes. So we're selling more homes in the detached market now, and again, it's positive because it's that time of year. But I'm hoping it actually has legs. I'm hoping this goes into the fall and well into next year. I really would like to see that. I would like to feel like we're maybe coming out of this really difficult market that we've been in for the past 4 years. Attached homes, still lagging a little behind, 22.4% of the houses listed are selling. And condos, though, very interesting because only a few months ago, they were only 12% of the condos were selling, and now we're at 19%. So this is actually good news. Price-wise, our benchmark price is $487,900. That is down 3.29% from a year ago. So that's not great news, but not terrible either, that 3.29%. I think some people think that Calgary is a lot worse than that. We may have not had as many sales, and our market may be soft from the amount of volume goes, but that doesn't necessarily mean that people are giving their house away at a massive discount. That's where the confusion is, by the way, for a lot of buyers. They just think because the sales are down that the prices have fallen off the cliff. And that's just not true, because there's been a ton of people who have just said, hey, if I don't get my price, I'll just keep it and I'll wait till the market gets better. And that's really what continues to keep our prices held at an amount that is what I would consider to be reasonable. Into the attached houses, we're at 316, and that's down 5.4% from May 2018, and condos are down 3.12%. So to put it all into perspective, we had 1,182 properties out of 3,921 sell in the month of May, and on average, it takes 50 days to sell a house. That's for detached. For attached, 1,893 listings, 424 sales, an average of 61 days. And then for condos, 1,653 sales, 1,653 amount listed, 315 for sales, and 70 days on the market. So where do we go from here? Let me just give you the best advice I'm going to give you. And because I know, buyers are asking me, should I buy right now? Sellers are asking me, should I sell right now? Everyone's trying to time the market. And I'm going to tell you right now, you can't time the market. We could be at the bottom of the market right now. And none of us, including myself, would ever know it, because you can't determine these things until 6 months later. All I can say is that there seems to be an improvement, and there seems to be changes in our economic environment. If I were a buyer, I would be buying now. I do believe we're going to pull out of this. And I believe that if you're buying real estate, there's enough choice out there right now. It's a perfect time to take advantage of it. And on top of it, the interest rates are still low, and people forget that. Interest rates are a huge factor on the market, and our interest rates have stayed low, and you can actually get a mortgage right now for like around 3% or less on a 5-year fixed. And top of that, our prices are also down. To me, if I was a buyer, this is the time to buy. Sellers, is this really the time to sell? Here's the answer. It's yes and no, unfortunately. If you are selling to buy again, it makes a lot of sense, because if you're selling, even though if the value has dropped, you're buying and that value has dropped. It's going to offset each other, especially if you're moving up. You're selling the $500,000 home. It's maybe only dropped, say, 10, 15% in value. Well, if you do the math, if you're buying the $600,000 or $7,100 home and that property has dropped, say, 15 to 20% in value, if you do the math, you actually come out further ahead. So if you're selling and buying at the same time, it makes sense. If you're just selling and not buying, well, that's questionable, because by hanging on till next year, things could improve. I'm saying they could. I don't know if it's going to be dramatic enough in 1 year. I do believe it'll be dramatic enough in 5 years, but that's the answer if you're selling. So the other thing to keep in mind is, just please understand, every neighborhood is different and every house is different. And I have seen some houses that have not dropped very much in value in this market downturn, simply because they were a very desirable house in a very desirable neighborhood. So never lose sight of that. It's one of the reasons why when I go over to evaluate real estate, I look at so many factors. People get hung up on stats, but I go in and look at absolutely everything when I evaluate real estate, because there are so many moving parts to determine the value of it. Same with buyers. If you're buying, there's a lot of moving parts as to which property should I be buying, what neighborhood is actually doing better than others. I use a charting system actually called the Housing Price Index, and I can go through and look at literally every single community in Calgary and show how much that community has increased in value in the past 10 years. Actually, can go back even 20 years, and then I can actually determine what the trend is for the last 3 months, 6 months, or even 5 years as to what kind of returns you got on that neighborhood. That is very, very good information for a buyer. So if you want any access to all of this vast amount of knowledge that I provide, then please reach out to me and I will be happy to go over that with you. All the best to you, and I'll see you next month.